What do you see as the top issues facing this district?
The top issues,
And what do you want to do?
well, from going door to door, the one thing that people kept bringing up, gangs and graffiti, that kept coming up, because that involves property issues as far as people writing on your property, safety in the neighborhood. It just dovetails into everything. And that's the one thing I want to work on. I want to work on those issues. I want to get some ordinances together where we can deal with these gang members, not avoid them, because I see a lot of folks who don't really, they're beginning to have a lot of gang task force for them, but we've forgotten some things since the summer of violence of 1993. And we've forgotten that we got to be consistent as far as working with our young people now. There was a time when I started working with young folks in 93 with the American Friends Service Committee. I used to do a lot of conflict management in the elementary schools here, and also at the detention center, the youth detention center, Gilliam Youth Detention Center. I did that from 94 until 2001. And the one thing that gang members would tell me, the ex-gang members, they said, you got to get these kids when they're in 3rd grade. You got to start then. And now they tell you, you got to start them at preschool. You got to start working with them then, because if you don't do it then, it's going to be too late. Because a lot, unfortunately, we're lacking mentorship in the schools, and I want to get parents, citizen activists to work in coalition, business folk and professionals to work in coalition with the teachers and DPS to go back into schools and mentor. We got to do that now. We got to get some parenting classes for parents, because there's so many parents who don't know how to raise their children. And I think we can do that. I think by being on city council and being just a role model and showing that I care for the community, that will have an effect as far as getting folks to say, well, if he can do it from his background, we can do the same thing. And I just, as far as the gang issue, I want to see for first-time offenders, something we used to do up here, and I want to get it done in all the neighborhood association groups, is to have a restorative justice model, where if a first-time offender or youth does something in the community, rather than just locking them up immediately, they meet with the community. And the community decides what their offense should be, what their penalty should be. And I know in the past when we used to do this up in Park Hill, if we would tell a kid that, yeah, you can go back to Gilliam, end up in a boot camp, or end up in Canyon when you get to be an adult, or you can write a paragraph about the offense you did and say it in front of your peers. And we would tell them that we want you to write that paragraph out and say it in front of your peers, that they would start bawling, crying, because they would rather go to jail than get up in front of their peers and say that they're sorry. I mean, they didn't want to do that. But the kids that we did that to, the ones that had to clean up their own graffiti, as a penalty, the ones that had to clean up the neighborhoods, they never did a crime again. They never did that.
Interesting.
They got themselves straight, and that's what I want to bring back. But the mentoring is the key thing with the parents and the schools and the professionals, because gang members mentor. That's the whole secret.
Right.
They talk to kids. They do that. They get them. So I want to get that back going again. I also want to get an ordinance going where we can have gang-free zones, like we have drug-free zones. Just put signs up. And someone will say, well, that doesn't mean anything, Greg. Someone can spray paint on the signs like a spray paint on the drug-free zone signs. But it's something.
Right. It's
something, and it's not being done right now. And it does. Drug-free zones, they send a message. People will complain and say, well, I'm gonna still sell drugs here, but they send a message. They let you know that we're serious in this neighborhood. And that's what I want to do with the gangs. That's one of the things. Also, I want to get all the neighborhood associations in District 8 to really push, and I'm going to be pushing this, to get the neighborhood watch programs going again. They are really lacking. Those are so effective. And I would work in coordination with both District 2 and District 6. Those are the 2 police departments in the district. To work with them and, to coordinate that, to get that going again, because that's a key thing.
Right.
That's the key thing. The police can do but so much. I'm also advocating working to get resources, working with the mayor and city council to get resources where the police can walk the streets again on a regular basis, because that's lacking. But even though if we get the resources to walk the street, it's still up to the people in the neighborhood to make their, to help out. Because it comes down to that. Police can do but so much, but we need folks to do neighborhood watches. We need to get that going again. And also, I would form a city council hotline for teenagers.
Okay.
Because a lot of teens see crimes
Uh-huh.
and they want to report it, but they're afraid to go to the police. They're afraid to go to their parents. They're afraid to go to the teacher. They don't know where to go.
Okay.
Anonymous hotline for teens where they can report crimes, talk about potential crimes, and we won't know their names or anything. We just want to know, that's the whole thing. Keep it anonymous. There's a tip line, something like that, and I want to get that going. Also, I want to get 3 to 5 teenagers to be a part of a youth advisory council committee that would work with me and also the rest of the city council, would work with me in District 8, so we can look at District 8 issues from a teen standpoint.
Right.
And I want to get teens who are, who are very bright, but also teens, the A students, but also the teens who aren't the A students, who had some difficulties, who just need, some guidance. And just to get them all together, no matter what race, but a bunch of teens together, working on issues in the community. Because a lot of people talk about teen issues, they talk about youth, but they don't talk to youth. They don't talk to nobody.
Right.
They just make these abstract opinions.
Right.
But you got to talk to youth. You got to do that. The other thing I want to do, because this cuts down a lot of the potential for folks joining gangs, and this used to happen in the early and mid 90s, to have the business community. I'm going to work with all the business folk I can in District 8 to establish by the summer of 2008 summer jobs for every teen that once went in District 8.
Okay.
Because that, when you give a kid hope and you give them a job, it keeps them off the street, it gets them something doing, they're being mentored by somebody, and you might have seen it, I have children here right now who just, they come in here and they just basically, they help with the food bank, they help answer the phones, they help a little bit everything, cleaning up, but they see me and other adults who come in as mentors and role models. And they know that that I'm not doing something nefarious, something.
Right.
They can see adults who aren't, doing something that's negative. So that's what I want to do.
What do you see, or what role do you think the city has in addressing education issues?
Well, it has to work in coordination with DPS, because it's not, city council technically cannot, that's DPS's role to do that. But I believe that I can personally in District 8, just go to some of the schools from time to time. And I've told someone this one day, and I really would want to do this. When there's a break as far as city council, when I can do this, to go to some of the schools like a Barrett, like East High, the schools, Bruce Randolph Middle School, places in the district, and just sit in. Just come unannounced and sit in on some of the classes. Sit in and just see what's going on.
Right.
Tell the principal in advance I'm coming in, but just see what's going on. But there's just, we have a limited amount of things we can do on city council with education, because that's the part of the DPS's role. But I believe that doing things individually, kind of away from city council, as far as sitting in on classes, talking to students, encouraging, mentoring, I think that's the thing that we can do.
Okay.